You have everything you need to walk in and through the uncomfortable. Be willing to get uncomfortable and know that the answers lay beyond your fear. One of the things that I have been holding back on is my art. I have a love-hate, but mostly love relationship when it comes to me and my art. And let's just say it's because I'm afraid. One of the reasons why I don't actually do and make a lot of art is because I'm afraid that it won't come out the way that I want it to or up to par to my own standards. And so as a result, I just end up not making anything at all. The funny thing about all of this is I love to draw. When I get in that zone and in the flow state, it's almost as if I'm on cloud 9. But to get there is a gruesome process and oftentimes results in me feeling and having to get uncomfortable. Recently, I saw this DIY video where you finger paint onto a canvas and use that as a guide to paint or sketch whatever you see or feel. Now, I feel like this is something I can do considering I won't be starting from a blank canvas. Similarly, our goals are almost like this painting, almost like my relationship with drawing, where I'm afraid and I'm scared to start because there is just a space from where I am to where I want to be, and in the midst of that, in the middle of that space is a lot of fear. The fear of what the outcome will be or what it won't be. We've all got goals and have put routines in place to make sure we achieve those goals and maintain those new habits. On top of the structure that we've put in place, it's also important that we start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Getting comfortable or even mitigating the fear that will inevitably come up when you start to make changes in your life is a great way to maintain change and maintain the habits that you put in place, because who wants to start a new routine just to end up giving it up within a month? No, we want to have habits and routines that stick. And so in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys the best tips on how to maintain and actually bring your goals into fruition. And so if you are interested in this, definitely stick around. Let's get into it. First things first is understanding that there is a lesson beyond the fear. You might be at a place where you are literally crippled by the fear of the unknown. Where you are right now versus the person you want to be with these new goals and new habits is completely different. And sometimes we can get debilitated by that distance and the fear that lays within it, but it's understanding that there is a lesson beyond that fear. And so think of yourself as here and your future self as here. There is this space, and this space sometimes we're crippled with the fear, but it's understanding that within that space there is a lesson. And so it's not about overcoming or doing habits that will get you to point B, but instead being comfortable and understanding and switching your mindset to understand that in this place of fear, in this place of uncertainty where I don't know exactly how things are going to play out, there are lessons. And so it's not about getting from point A to point B specifically, but getting from point A and moving and taking a step towards point B. On your journey towards point B, there are going to be so many different lessons that you can pick up. And guess what? Maybe you won't even end up at point B and you take a detour onto somewhere else that is better for you and for your life. And so it's not necessarily focusing on the end goal, the end result, the end habit, the end version of yourself. That can be daunting. That can be filled with anxiety. We can get overwhelmed because the reality of things are that we are not going to change overnight. Our habits are not going to change overnight. And so when point B is our focal point, that space in between can be intimidating. When we're not that person that we hope to be every single day, or we're not able to show up as that person every single day, it can be intimidating and it can actually make us not want to try anymore. And so it's understanding that in this space, In this in-between stage, there are lessons for you to learn. And so the focus isn't necessarily on getting to point B, but just starting to embark on that journey where you can start to put these lessons into your bag, your figurative bag, and start applying them to all areas of your life. And maybe you won't even end up in point B. Maybe there's a destination that is greater and more aligned for you. And so when you realize that change needs to be made, have that vision of who you would like to be, the vision of the woman you would like to be, the vision of the man you would like to be, the vision of the goal you want to achieve, but don't be so fixated on that end result. Moving into the uncomfortable, you probably haven't stuck to your habits and routines that you set in place because you are afraid. You know that there's something uncomfortable ahead of you. Know there's something that you have to change, but you don't necessarily feel like getting uncomfortable. We don't feel like waking up early because, man, it feels good to sleep in. We don't feel like actually getting the courage and finding the strength within us to speak up for ourselves or, stand firm on our boundaries. We don't feel like doing that because it's not necessarily comfortable. We have this version of ourselves that we see. We know the woman that we want to be. We want to be in a loving relationship. We want to be a career-driven woman. We want to be successful in all these different areas of our life, and we can see that end goal, but we aren't willing to necessarily take those steps and get uncomfortable to get there. The way to actually see change is by changing how you genuinely feel about yourself and how you genuinely feel about being uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to get uncomfortable. Know that the questions you have are answerable. Know that the pain you have is bearable. You can work through whatever you are going through, and it's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and knowing that even in those uncomfortable moments where you are struggling or where you are maybe backsliding and you feel like you're not doing everything that you can, even in those moments, there are lessons to learn, and you are going to benefit from those moments. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let those moments discourage you. You are still learning within those moments. Nothing is built overnight. You know the saying, Rome wasn't built overnight? Rome, that beautiful city where the architecture is amazing and it's like this gorgeous city. It wasn't built overnight. To have an end result that is beautiful, that is a spectacle that people are in awe of, right? That is our future self. We want to be the best version of ourselves. But in order to get to that point, it isn't going to be overnight and it isn't going to happen within an instance. It takes time to build. Brick by brick by brick, we lay the steps to form this end result, to form Rome, but it wasn't built overnight. And the same thing goes for you. Your best self, the version of yourself that you hope to be, the secure version of yourself, the loving version of yourself, the successful version of yourself is going to be built, but it's going to be built brick by brick by brick. And so call on something that is bigger than you. Have and rely on your faith to carry you through those moments where you aren't super motivated or where you don't have the strength. Sometimes we genuinely don't have the strength, but it doesn't mean that that is where we should give up and that is where we should get back into our comfort. No, in those moments, it is your time to get knee deep into your faith and knee deep into your word or whatever it is that you believe in, to carry you through those moments. At the end of the day, we are human beings and we cannot fight every single thing on our own. We need something that is bigger than us. And so that is what I do, and I encourage you guys to do as well. Call on God, make a list of gratitude, pray for the things that you are stressing about instead of stressing about them, so that you can walk through those moments of uncomfortability without scurrying back into that old version of yourself or the old habits that you have. You can bear the pain. You can solve the problem. The answers are waiting for you to discover them. You have everything you need to walk in and through the uncomfortable. Be willing to get uncomfortable and know that the answers lay beyond your fear. I want to do a sort of journal exercise. I would like you to write 3 fears that you would like to overcome. Write down 3 goals that you have been afraid to face. I am also going to be doing this exercise, and so let's take a moment to write down those 3 things. I'm titling mine 2024 Overcome. So my first thing is it might kind of sound silly to some people, but it has to do with my appearance. I want to put more effort into my appearance and my self-care, because when I walk into a room or when I show up and I look good, man, do I feel good. But it's not every day that I take the extra 5 minutes or the extra 10 minutes the night before to do my hair routine or whatever it is that makes me feel more attractive. It's not every day that I do that. And so this year or this coming season or for the rest of my life, what I hope to actually implement into my life is to put more effort and time into my self-care and my beauty routine so that I can show up feeling good, but I can do that also by looking good. And so that is one of the goals that I have. Another goal that I have is I really want to kind of get a better hold over my mind. I think I kind of mentioned this in a video before, but I have just realized how the thoughts I have in my head are really getting a hold of me. Like, we all have thoughts in our head, and we all have these kind of voices in our head, or at least let me speak for myself. Sometimes I have these thoughts or these voices in my head that are very negative and don't necessarily make me want to get up and do anything. And so sometimes I listen to those voices, and sometimes I actually believe that, the day is useless, or that there's nothing meaningful for me to do. There's no point in trying. There's no point of doing anything. Sometimes I really start to believe those voices, and I get into these funks where I'm just moping around and just not enthusiastic about life. And the thing that I found is that it's not every day that I have those voices, and it's not every day that I believe in them. And the days that I don't, I'm happy. I'm having a great time. I'm enjoying life. I'm being very productive in a way that isn't like straining on myself. And so I don't want to be that person that is fluctuating between good and bad mentally every single day. I think I want to have a little more mental stability. And so for this coming year, a goal that I want to have is to really get control over my mind and really have a routine where I'm shutting down those negative thoughts as soon as they come up. When I feel like, not doing anything because I feel like it's hopeless, automatic shutdown. No, that is not true. You can put one step towards the goal that you want to achieve, and that is enough. You don't have to be crazy ambitious or get all these things done. One step is enough, and it isn't all for nothing. You know that this is a lie in your mind. You know that this thought isn't true, and so just keep pushing through it. Third goal that I want to have is to speak my mind freely. This one might be kind of silly to some people. Some people maybe will just willingly speak their mind, but for the folks like me that are people pleasers and that are always trying to make people comfortable, it is a struggle, and it's something that we have to actually write down to make sure that we do it. Speaking our mind. Not necessarily opening your mouth and blabbering your opinion 24/7. That is not what I'm talking about. That is quite exhausting. But it's being able to actually stand your ground, or being able to actually stand up for yourself and say how you actually feel. That is one of my goals, because I don't want to be this pushover woman that anyone can just treat any type of way. Like, no. I am going to speak my mind, and I'm going to be confident in the way that I think. I know what is right for me and what is right for my life, and I don't have to be a pushover and go with what everybody says. I can speak my mind, and I don't have to worry about how you take it. I can speak it lovingly, and I can speak it kindly. There is an art to speaking your mind, I feel. Okay, now that we have written down and created this list of things that we want to bring into fruition, we have our goals listed out for us, we have got to take steps. But we are not going to just take huge steps or regular size steps. We are going to take micro steps. A micro step is a small step or a small action that you can take towards the direction of your goal. And so let's say for myself, let's say, for example, for my third goal, which was speaking my mind freely and comfortably, a micro step that I can take is when I'm in my day-to-day, let's say I'm getting a coffee or I'm having a conversation with a peer, when I feel like saying something, you know, when you get that little feeling in your stomach, you're like, I have to say something, but you quiet yourself down. I do that a lot. In those moments, that is the opportunity that I can take towards a micro step. That is the opportunity. I feel like saying something. I feel like speaking my mind right now. Normally, I would just shut myself down and be like, it doesn't matter. What you have to say doesn't really matter. No, that is my opportunity. I'm taking a micro step. I am going to maybe not speak my whole mind. Like that might be a bit of a macro step, but a micro step could be like, maybe I could ask a question. What did you mean when you said this, and that? Oh, okay. What made you think that? Questioning is a great micro step towards speaking your mind. Speaking your mind is what you are supposed to do. You have a mind and you have a voice for a reason, and your voice is powerful and you can use it in a way that is powerful and compassionate. Take the opportunity when it arises. Putting the theory into action can be scary and intimidating, but you won't be able to overcome a fear until you actually make a change. And so when I feel called to speak up and say something, I can do so in a way that is kind and compassionate. My micro step is saying one thing rather than holding back a list of things. Reminding myself that I matter and that my words are powerful, but they don't hold the almighty power. And so even if I say something that makes someone uncomfortable or upset, I am not to be the one that crushes their spirit. Their well-being is not entirely in my hands. There is a very real God that has everything under control. Saying one thing is a start. Thank you guys so much for participating in this journal exercise with me. I really do appreciate your time and your vulnerability. If you feel up for it, definitely share some of the things that you are working through or the things that you ended up journaling about in the comment section. I would love to hear the things that you are working through, or if you can relate to any of the things that I am working through. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I am going to log out and end this video right now, but I pray and I hope that all of your goals and every task that you wish to achieve in 2024, that you take a small step towards it. Not necessarily that you achieve it this year, but that you take and are able to maintain taking those micro steps towards the direction that you would like to be in. And so I send my well wishes to you, and I wish you a happy year, a happy day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and love, and bye for now. I love you guys so much.